Alrighty, everybody. Welcome, like I promised last week, to the first annual weekly NFL preview. We're going to run through some of the big stories in NFL, some college games picked. We'll pick some NFL games as well and go through some fantasy. For the inaugural show today, I'm joined by Menominee legend and 15-year Redbirds ace, Aaron Woods. Aaron, how you doing today? Good to have you.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the big news today. Johnny Manziel sent back to the bench. Josh McCown will be under center again on Sunday. Past the concussion protocol. What are your thoughts on Pettine's move to put Johnny back on the bench?
Well, I thought it was rather bold. You got a first-round pick in 2014 on Manziel. You got to see what you got in him. I mean, he's 22 years old. I guess he's got some room to build and grow, but you build off your win from last week. To me, that's something you build off of. McCown's 36. He's been a career backup. That's just my opinion. I don't know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically the Browns being the Browns.
Yeah.
McCown has had 8 good games in his entire career.
Yeah.
And, like you said, you draft Manziel in the first round, and he is starting to show some signs of improvement. And, just the whole Penn doesn't seem to know what he's doing.
No.
Their offensive coordinator, John D. Filippo or something. It's some weird last name, but never been an offensive coordinator in his life. He's
Right.
a position coach and whatnot. So this is what I'm like with all these guys. Like the Jaguars last year when they started, Chad Henne said he was starting Blake Bortles from the start. Why?
Yeah.
If you draft again first round nowadays, the college offenses are so much more advanced, where you need to just throw those guys out there. And see what they can do, because either they got it or they don't. That's why Jameis is out there week 1, Mariota's out there week 1. So I think, like you said, this is a huge mistake. I don't know how long they go with McCown. Hopefully.
Well, he has a 3-year deal for $14 million. Do you think that plays into it? Do you think they want to get their worth out of him?
I don't know what the contract looks like, but I'm guessing it doesn't have.
Yeah,
a lot of
guarantees.
guarantees.
Yeah, can't be. I did read a report today where it said, Patton said, I don't want to pull a guy just because he got hurt. I want to give him a chance when he earned it in preseason. Now that, to me, ask Belichick how that worked out when Bledsoe went down. Ask Vermeil how that worked out when Trent Green went down. Kurt Warner comes in, does a great job. Tom Brady still doing his thing. So to me, a little ridiculous, but I guess he's the head coach and I'm just an average guy. So
yeah, I agree with that 100%. A lot of times you wish it doesn't happen like that, where a guy loses it because of injury.
Right.
But
it's the business stuff, right?
It is. Yeah,
the NFL.
It is. And the guy, I think Bill O'Brien did the right thing with, for example, Hoyer.
Yep.
You give him his chance, but the guy's like 29 years old now, 30. I think he might be in his 30s.
Yep.
He stinks.
Yeah. It'd be different if Manziel came out last week and laid an egg.
Yeah.
He's in front of the home crowd. Everybody is jacked up. They get a win against the Titans team that actually played well the previous week. I just can't see. I don't understand the logic, but that's just me.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I know who do they play even? They play
this week. Is it the Jets?
No, they play
the Jets last. Yeah, week 1.
No, I don't know who they play. It really doesn't matter. They'll probably lose because they stink. Oh, they play Oakland.
Oakland. Okay. Well, yeah. Even then.
Yeah, and I think
Oakland's defense isn't as bad as advertised right now, though. They look good against the Ravens. A lot of pressure on Flacco. I could honestly see them putting a lot of pressure on McCown as well.
Yeah.
And coming out next week and they say, hey, Manziel, you're starting week 4.
And there's another Derek Carr starts week 1 last year. There's another example of just throwing your young guy out there.
Exactly.
And seeing what he can do. And I think he's developed well, playing 16 games last year and then a whole offseason of being the starter. And everybody kind of has the same opinion that the Raiders are moving in the right direction. So take notes, Mike.
Exactly.
Everybody, Ray Farmer, all those guys. Okay. So we'll move on to the next topic. We're in agreement. Manziel should be starting.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Colts. On my sheet here, I basically have, do they suck? because the first 2 weeks have been abysmal.
Yes.
So
Two good defenses they faced. That's the only excuse I have for them at this point. Bills defense, very tough. Although Brady made them look very susceptible, but I think the Bills have one of the top 5 defenses in the league, and also the Jets are right up there as well. The pressure they put on Luck was unreal. Offensive line, I think that's the big issue. They don't have one, and I think the GM's to blame for that. Polian might be getting a call here shortly. That's just my opinion. They didn't do anything to better themselves. First-round pick, Philip Dorsett, wide receiver. How many snaps is he even playing? I don't understand the logic between grabbing a wide receiver, which is probably one of your strengths as a team at this point, and that's who they pick in the first round when you have an offensive line that has some issues. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they stink.
Yeah.
They're and you brought Bill Polian, but I thought Bill Polian stunk.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the whole organization has been bailed out by Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck for the past 20 years. I don't know, or 20-ish years. Grigson, the GM right now, has made one correct pick.
And it was handed to him
in 4 years, and it was literally given to him on a silver platter.
Yeah,
they stink. Their offensive line stinks. They literally have 4 good players on their team.
Right.
Luck is good. T.Y. Hilton's good. Vontae Davis, they signed him as a free agent. That was a good pickup.
Mm-hmm.
And Jarrell Freeman, who has battled injuries a lot of linebacker, I think is pretty well regarded in the NFL. But they stink. Their offensive line is awful.
Yeah.
Their secondary is brutal. Their D-line gets no pressure. And now they had the big hype of being Super Bowl favorites. Andre Johnson can't get separation. Frank Gore's dropping balls on the one.
They both look washed up, in my opinion. Those are the big signings. I think they're done. There's a reason nobody picked them up before that.
I think Andre Johnson more so than Gore. I thought Gore ran all right for a little bit. I think Andre Johnson looks done.
Yeah.
And which is unfortunate because he's been one of the better receivers of our lifetimes.
It's just he never had a quarterback, and now he has a quarterback, and he's not really producing.
Yeah.
But give it some time. I do think one of the overlooked storylines here during that game, we got Todd Bowles, head coach. So when Pagano left, who replaced him? Bruce Arians.
But that was my next. Pagano stinks too. They kept the wrong coach.
Yeah,
I mean
Todd Bowles was an understudy of Arians.
Yeah,
Arians knows that offense in and out. So they talk.
Okay, yeah, I see your point. Yeah,
so I could see them, maybe talking and figuring out that offense together because you do see Arians and Bowles have a great relationship.
Yeah.
I'm sure Pagano and Arians do as well, but probably not as close. Just my thought. Yeah,
well, but I get that's a great point. My point a little bit different was to pile on with Grigson being awful. Pagano stinks, and Arians led that team the year that, bless Pagano's heart, he's been through more than you or I can imagine.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's healthy, but he stinks. The team has not. They progressed playoff wise. They've gone farther. A lot of that has to do with Luck getting better.
Right.
But in the playoffs, every time they face a team that can match up Luck, they get crushed.
Yeah.
The first year with the Ravens, they didn't score a touchdown in the first round.
Yep.
Then the Patriots blast them Luck's second year. And the Patriots obviously blast them last year in the Deflategate game, whatever.
38 points based on a deflated ball.
Yeah. So Pagano's good as gone, in my opinion. I think I think if they don't win the Super Bowl, he's gone.
Oof, that's bold.
I think this is a hardball-like situation. Him and Grigson and Irsay are not on the same page. There's been reports of that circulating. So I think that
doesn't help when Irsay is on pills and running around town. But
yeah. I mean, so I think that organization as a whole for the past 15 years has been dysfunctional. And because they've had Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, it's kind of just gone by the wayside.
Right.
So I think they still win the division because I think
it's so easy. Yeah. They should get 6 wins guaranteed in that division, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you should go 6-0 in there, and they're gonna win a couple of games like this week. Obviously, they play division, but they should win 4 or 5 games. Other than that, that puts you in the playoffs guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I feel bad for Andrew Luck owners right now in fantasy. I mean, that's a first round pick, more leagues than that, and and if you don't have him, he's got a huge upside right now. Buy him low.
Yeah,
it's just my opinion. I go out and throw a trade offer out there, and maybe somebody bites on it, because he is right now. He's bottom 5 in the league in quarterback rating. Not good.
I mean, yeah, he's not very good. He hasn't been good, no. And I think he'll start taking care of the ball more, because he's been catching ridiculous heat this week for it.
He's too good not to play well. So
yeah. So we're both in agreement. Colts still probably make the playoffs, but yes. I think they stink. You maybe not so much. But.
I think they win by default based on the division. Somebody's got to go from the division, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's too early to hit the panic button.
Okay.
At this point, just a little early.
Okay, I don't. They stink. So we'll move on. We'll start with 2 NFC East teams. We'll start off with the Eagles and their struggles as well. I'll basically ask the same question that I asked with the Colts. Do they stink?
We're starting with the Eagles?
We'll start with the Eagles, yeah.
All right. Well, Chip Kelly, he's got to be embarrassed, right?
As coach, he's all right. Yeah.
Head coach and GM right now?
Yeah. The past 2 games, yeah.
This is his product. This is what he put together. He gutted out their offensive talent. And this is what he's left them with right now. Sam Bradford, who looks stellar in preseason. I mean, he came to Lambeau and torched the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it's preseason, right? But he just doesn't look like he's gelling in that offense as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he ran that offense at Oklahoma, right? Similar offense.
Yeah, it's similar.
That was kind of the fit there.
Yeah.
But to a Dallas defense last week that isn't good. They're average at best. To have 1 first down in the first half, 21 yards in the whole first half. There's got to be a huge concern there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
more so than the Colts, in my opinion, right now.
Okay, that's interesting. See, I think Philly will be fine.
You think so?
I think that Bradford's an issue though. I think if Chip can figure out a way to, he just looks like he's scared that every time he drops back, some guy's going to blow out his knee again.
Yeah, he wasn't stepping into his throws at all. He's throwing everything off the back foot, and
and I don't know that's like a mental thing with him that he's going to have to get over,
right?
Or what. But if Chip can figure that out, I think they'll be fine. I think if you looked at a lot of his games, even in the first 2 years with the Eagles, and then dating back to Oregon, the games that he lost, his offense looks like that.
Yeah,
it seems to be either they're clicking or they're not at all. And
I think they have an issue. Sorry to interrupt, but I think they have an issue in their offensive line as well. I didn't think they're getting, obviously. I mean, they didn't get any push. They have one of the best running backs in the league. No push.
Yeah, and they're running a lot of east and west stuff with DeMarco, and he's a north and south kind of guy. So I think Chip's smart enough to make adjustments. I think, especially now with the division as it is, I think that they're in a good spot to go and win it. I think that they will be fine, and I think that they'll eventually end up winning the East. Because I think that defensively, I think that they're a turnover-driven defense, and I think once kind of all these moving parts that Chip has brought in kind of settle into the defense and the offense, that it's going to look a little bit more fluent. That's just my personal opinion. And the more overwhelming opinion is the one that you're suggesting. So they're the big wild card, though. I think even more than the Colts. I personally think that they'll be fine, but they're a huge wild card.
The team that's probably licking their chops right now is the Giants, because they're not a bad team.
They should be 2-0.
They should be.
They're
not. But
and I thought they were going to win the East before the year started.
Okay.
But yeah, they should be 2-0, but that's a different story.
Right.
So we'll talk about the Cowboys now. They were the other team in the NFC East we wanted to discuss. Romo goes down. Dez is down. Skandrick was down before the season started. Do they have any chance?
It's going to be tough. I mean, you lose a guy like Romo, who is, I mean, you invest your whole season in a guy like that. Not to mention Dez Bryant, who you also invest your season in. it's going to be tough. I'll read the next 8 games that I have for them. Versus Atlanta, at New Orleans, against New England, at the Giants, against Seattle, against Philly, and then they go to Tampa Bay and then Miami, and then hopefully Romo's supposed to be back.
So how many wins out of that do you see?
I think they beat Tampa Bay for sure, and I also think they'll.
Do you say that was at Tampa Bay?
It was at Tampa Bay, and that's not a pushover either.
No, I think is the New Orleans game at home.
It's in New Orleans, so that's.
Yeah.
But New Orleans has been very bad at home.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say out of that, they'd be lucky to go 3-5.
Yeah, I would agree
Lucky.
with that. I think maybe they win at New Orleans and maybe they win at Tampa Bay. And I don't see another one other than that.
Maybe Philly. I don't know. They're playing at home against Philly 6 weeks from now, so it's going to be interesting. Nonetheless, I don't know if they have it in them. Jerry Jones, you could just see the disgust and the concern on his face after the game. I don't know. It's going to be very tough. They're going to have to rely on that offensive line and their trio of running backs. Or what is it? 4 of them now, or 3 or
Three. They've played 3. Then the Michael from
Seattle. Yeah.
Seattle is in there too.
Right.
What kind of leash do you think they give Whedon? With Castle in there now, and I saw they called Kellen Moore up. Not that either of those two guys are anything to look over your shoulder at, but
Troy Aikman still available, or yeah,
Tebow's out there.
Tebow's out there.
Tebow's out there. Yeah.
Well, the governor wants him out there. He went 7 for 7, right? 70 yards, touchdown, coming in replacement for him. Maybe he's a new guy. I don't know. We haven't seen him in a few years. He was terrible with the Browns, but again, who hasn't been? So maybe he's a new guy. I mean,
Did he play? I think he played in a game last year that Romo went out early against Arizona.
And I think he came in and did okay.
Was he okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did. He came in and did all right. So it's one of those things. I don't know. What do you think for a leash? I think Whedon's their guy until Romo's back. Matt Castle, he's been with more teams than some guys go in their whole career. There's just this week.
Yeah.
So
I think it depends how bad it gets.
right.
If they're competitive, they're going to stick with him, obviously. But if he's just throwing 2-3 picks a game, not moving the ball at all, I think the chat, like Jerry Jones, you have too many loud influences around that team that would say, let's give Castle a chance. I don't think it's going to matter.
Right.
Whether either of those guys are in there. I think that they're going to go, like you said, 2-6 or 3-5 at best.
Yep.
But which is unfortunate because they, at least in the first part of the Eagles game with Romo, even without Dez, I thought they looked pretty good.
Top 5 team when they're healthy, I think.
Yeah.
You're up there.
Yeah, I thought that they would be the only challenger to Seattle or Green Bay in the NFC.
Right.
And now there's those two are going to be walking to the championship game. Okay, so those are the big stories. We'll move on to pick some college games this Saturday. Kind of a quiet slate. Only, I think, 2 games that match ranked opponents. So we'll start with BYU at Michigan. Michigan is favored by 5 points. Who do you like there?
BYU and Michigan. I read a stat. BYU's 3-0 against the spread this year, and they've had a Cinderella season so far. Shouldn't have beat Nebraska. UCLA last week they should have beat. However, I don't know. If I'm betting with my head, I'm thinking I'm gonna take BYU here. I'm getting 5 points. But if I'm going with my heart, I mean, playing in Ann Arbor, I just don't. They're not gonna lose. They're just not gonna lose at home. That's my heart. If I had to put money on it and I was being serious with myself, I would go BYU in this one. Just covering the spread, not to win the game though. Not to win the game. I got Michigan at home.
Okay, I would agree. I think Michigan wins, but I think BYU covers. This Michigan team just doesn't have blowout DNA.
No.
Harbaugh's going to pound the rock. Rudolph's going to throw. If Rudock plays well, I think there's no doubt that they win. I think it's a comfortable win, and BYU might backdoor cover or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Michigan wins, and that'll be Harbaugh's first win against a ranked opponent at Michigan, and then their schedule kind of eases up for a few games, and then they get kind of to the heart towards the end with Minnesota, Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State. So yeah, it'll be. I'm hoping it'll be a fun year for them. But
it's a different team, a little bit different spunk going into the game. They're trying hard. You can just see it everywhere. So
the energy in the Big House the past 2 weeks has been good.
Very good.
So this will be a big one. I think it'll be loud there. I think they'll get up for that one. Second one I got here is Texas A&M at Arkansas. I don't know if you kept up with the Cliff Kingsbury Bielema back and forth over the weekend.
I didn't see that. Bielema's he opened up his mouth a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah, he went to a Texas high school coaches clinic over the summer and said, if you guys have if you guys don't have a fullback, we're gonna kick your ass. If you guys don't, or if you guys throw 70 times a game, we're gonna kick your ass. And so Kingsbury, after they beat Arkansas last week, kind of threw it in their face. And I think A&M is going to absolutely destroy Arkansas this week.
Well, you did say that it's at Arkansas, but I did read that it's at AT&T Stadium. That's correct?
Yes.
So it's pretty much a home game for Texas A&M, just further driving home the point, right?
Yeah. And Arkansas played the last 2 weeks at home and lost to Toledo and Texas Tech. So
and they
stink.
Yeah. Was it Texas A&M had Nebraska last week?
No, A&M last week had Nevada. They played Arizona State week 1 and won handily. Yeah.
Okay.
So A&M's favored by 7.5. I think they cover that comfortably. I think it's a couple TD game. Their offense is as usual for a Kevin Sumlin team, and their defense under John Chavis this year with Myles Garrett and company. They're good. So I think that they cover.
You done your homework, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. I just know the college game a little bit more than yourself, apparently. So
that's true.
The third game here, Mississippi State going to Jordan-Hare to face by 1.5. What do you got there?
I got Mississippi State in this one. Auburn's playing worse than expected, and Mississippi State is playing much better than expected. I got MSU in this one. Mississippi State University, that is. How about yourself?
All right. Yeah, I have Auburn in this. They switched from Jeremy Johnson to Sean White. Heard good things about Sean White.
He's got red hair, long red hair, right?
Yeah.
Snowboarder.
He's a different cat. Yeah, not that Sean. Yeah. But yeah, I got Auburn -1.5. I think Gus gets them right. Last week was embarrassing, so I think that they cover at home -1.5. So I got Auburn there, and finally we have the game day game for this week. UCLA goes to Rich Rod and the Arizona Wildcats, who are +3.5.
Okay. I have UCLA winning on the road in this one. I just don't think Arizona's playing especially well. Although I guess I didn't know it was the game day game of the week. That, as we all know, that brings a different atmosphere to the stadium, to the fans, everything. So it could be closer than I expected, but I just don't think Arizona's playing as well as they should be. Rich Rod doesn't have that offense going. It's not as fine-tuned as it has been in the past. They did play well last week. UCLA, like you said, we were talking about earlier, BYU last week. They came back nice in the fourth quarter and won. So my opinion, I got UCLA. What about you?
I think this actually – Arizona's offense has been kind of shaky through the first 3 weeks. I think, though, that going into conference game day there, I think not only do they cover the +3.5 Arizona, I think that they are going to win the game on Saturday. So that's somewhat of an upset pick. But Solomon and Nick Wilson back there are about as good of a quarterback running back combo as it gets. No Scooby Wright, the linebacker, which will probably hurt, but Rosen looked shaky last week against BYU too. So I think the Wildcats get the W outright in that game. So that's it for college. We'll move on to some fantasy, kind of our guys we like at each position. Maybe a contrary play for you daily fantasy players, and then kind of maybe a cheap option for you daily fantasy players as well. So we'll start with the quarterback. Who are some guys that you kind of like this week?
I got Luck as my number one. I just see a bounce back week for him. Like I said earlier, he's just too good, not to play well. So I got him at 9,000, number one quarterback. Rodgers, if you're going to play Monday night games, he's always a sure bet at home, especially. I got Russell Wilson going against a Chicago defense that, let's be honest, may be the worst in the league, which is weird for a Chicago team. I got Big Ben coming in at 4 just because, his options, Le'Veon Bell is back, and that's going to really make defenses focus a little bit more on him. And it's St. Louis, right, this week?
Yeah. Yep.
And that is a tough matchup, but, when you got Antonio Brown on the outside, who is burning every single cornerback there is, I think he's going to have a good week. And then round the top 5 out with Matt Ryan. Him and Julio have just been unreal. Going to Dallas, I see a good play there. As far as my contrary pick, something that not many are probably going to pick, Andy Dalton. I don't think Baltimore. I don't think they've been getting to the quarterback too much. I see a good game for him here. AJ Green's starting to get. You can see he's healthy, and I'm really high on Andy Dalton this week. He's also my cheap play, 7,100. That's a steal in my opinion. So, what about yourself?
I also have Luck and Russell as my top 2. For most of the reasons that you said as well. I got Carson Palmer as my 3rd one against San Francisco. I think that San Francisco front 7 is still pretty good. So I think that any run game that they try to have will be stopped, and that Palmer will try to attack that back 4. And Arians is a guy who's known for taking shots and throwing a lot, no matter the situations. So I think at 8,100, that's a pretty good price for Carson Palmer on FanDuel. So I would take Carson Palmer very highly. Cam Newton's another one against New Orleans, who's got a putrid defense, in my opinion. and the Panthers have shown the willingness to run Cam early in the year. That was a big concern because that adds a ton to his fantasy value. And last year he didn't run as much, and then this year so far, with the lack of weapons, they've been having a lot more designed runs for him. So at 7,900, I like Cam a lot. And obviously, I'll round up my top 5 with Tom Brady against the Jags. The thing with Brady is I don't know how Belichick's gonna game plan for this.
Yeah, week in and week out.
It's just different, yeah. And the Jags have a pretty good front 7, and you just don't know if Brady's going to throw it 59 times like last week, or he's going to throw it 25 this week. So that's why I kind of have him towards the back. My contrary plays Peyton Manning. I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on him all of a sudden, myself included, because he just doesn't look like Peyton Manning. But I think Detroit, you're going to have to throw, and I think that Sunday night primetime game, I think he does a nice job on Sunday. Probably throws 3 touchdowns, 275 or so. So I think he's a good contrary play. My cheap play, I have Marcus Mariota against the Colts, and I have Derek Carr against the Browns. Derek Carr will sling it around, and like last week, he went absolutely bonkers.
He's a gamer. He's a gamer.
Yeah, yeah. And if you need a guy to give you some salary relief and throw a dart, Derek Carr's a guy I think you look at. So
he's got some weapons finally too. Yeah. Amari Cooper looks tough.
Yeah, Crabtree looks good too.
Yes.
So yeah, I like Carr there. Running backs, who do you got?
Marshawn Lynch might go for 200 this week. I know you said it last week, but I actually do think he's going to go for 200 this week. I just don't see how the Bears are going to stop him. My second one, AP, he looks like he's back to himself. He's hungry. He's ready to go. 8,900. Steep price because you don't exactly know what you're going to get from him week in and week out, but 8,900 for him, I think you're going to get a good game there. Charles, 8,700 would be my third one. Carlos Hyde, barring he did pass the protocol, right? For his concussion.
Yeah, he sounds like he's going to be good to go.
Yeah, I said he ran off the field screaming. You could tell he was in pain, but if he's good to go, I got him at number 4. And then number 5, actually Dion Lewis. I've been really impressed with him and how he's used in that offense. He's kind of your Shane Vereen, except a better version of him. And for 6,700, I think he'd be a huge salary relief at that position. My contrary would be Joseph Randle this week. I said earlier, I think Dallas has to rely on the run with Whedon at quarterback, Romo gone, and they're playing Atlanta, who defense is just okay, better than expected, but just okay. My cheap play of the week is actually Devonta Freeman with Tevin Coleman out with a fractured rib. I do like him this week. So.
Okay, yeah, my guys, I got Marshawn AP, Le'Veon, Hyde, and for my top 5 as well. My guy to round it out is Latavius Murray for Oakland. I think that Oakland offense is good. I think he's used in a couple of different ways too. He's a hard runner, also big play potential. Anytime he gets a ball, he could pop one of the house. And he's been catching balls too. And I think against Cleveland, they're going to use him a lot, running the ball. And obviously, I'm assuming he's going to get a few targets out of the backfield. So he rounds out my top 5. My contrary play is Jeremy Hill for Cincinnati. Baltimore does have a pretty good run defense, but I think a lot of people will be off of him because of the 2 fumbles last week and the lack of effectiveness. But I think the offensive coordinator, Hugh Jackson's made it a point to repeatedly back him up in the media and say, he's our guy, he's our workhorse. So I think he's still a solid play this week. And my cheap play is Bilal Powell for the Jets. I think Ivory was banged up last night or a couple nights ago in the Monday night game. Couldn't even finish the 4th. It doesn't sound like he's going to go this week. Even if he does, even if he does,
I did read that.
Okay, even if
I apologize for.
Even if he does go, I don't think he's going to be very effective. So I think Powell's is a good cheap play. So moving on to the wide receivers, who like
receivers. I don't know if anyone's going to guard Julio all year. He's got to be, for me, he's the clear-cut number 1. Nobody has been able to stop him this year. He's on pace for 178 catches or something unreal at this point. My number 2 is Antonio Brown. Again, another guy who's been virtually unstoppable. Odell Beckham coming in at number 3. He had a quiet start. He's back to himself last week. Demaryius Thomas, number 4. Like you said, primetime game. I think Peyton's going to have a good game as well, which means Demaryius will. Julian Edelman, number 5, playing the Jags. I think it's going to be a dump-off game for Brady, like per usual. My contrary play is Larry Fitzgerald this week. 3 touchdowns last week. Not everybody's going to believe in him, but they did say he's the key to the offense, so I got him. My cheap play this week, Marvin Jones. I said Andy Dalton was going to have a good game. I think Marvin Jones is going to be a part of that. 5,000. I think that's a great value pick right there.
Okay, I got a lot of similar guys. Once again, obviously, I think Demaryius is very high. I got him as my number 2. I think he's had 2 really good first weeks quietly. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet, so I think Peyton makes an effort to feed him into the end zone this week. I'm really high in T.Y. Hill this week. You mentioned Luck. He's too good to keep struggling like this. I don't see a guy in Tennessee's secondary that can cover T.Y. I think that he's due for an 8-catch, 115 yards, 1 touchdown game. So I think T.Y. is a really good pick as well. My contrary pick is Jeremy Maclin against the Packers. A lot of people just like to stay away from Kansas City receivers in general. I think Andy Reid's done a good job of trying to get Maclin involved early on this year. And I think that the streak ends this week, and a receiver will catch a touchdown for the Chiefs against the Packers on Monday night, and I think it'll be Jeremy Maclin. And my cheap play is Kendall Wright. I mentioned Marcus Mariota as a cheap play before. I think against Indianapolis, they're going to be losing. Mariota will be throwing a lot. I think Kendall Wright's a very underrated receiver. He's 5,900 on FanDuel. I think he catches a lot of balls, and I think he always has the potential to take a 10-yard catch into an 80-yard touchdown. So I like Kendall Wright as a cheap play. For my tight ends quickly, and then I'll let it go to you. Not a whole lot to pick from this week. Usual. I think the tight end position in general in the NFL right now is extremely weak. I have Gronk obviously as my number 1 tight end. Travis Kelce. Greg Olson, and then I round out my fourth one with Crockett Gilmore, the tight end for the Ravens at 5,400. He's a good cheap play as well. Flacco loves his tight ends. So those are my four. I know you got a couple different ones, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, I like Gronk number one, Jimmy Graham number two. They can't hide Jimmy Graham any longer. They can't. They don't have enough options to hide him. I think they're going to start getting him involved. Greg Olson number three, him as well. I mean, he's the sole option out there right now. Number four, Travis Kelce. He's shown a lot this year and last year. My contrary play, I got Kyle Rudolph, somebody that's starting to get really involved in that offense. Seems to have a good chemistry with Teddy Bridgewater right now. My cheap play, you hit on this earlier with Peyton Manning. I like Owen Daniels. Primetime game again. Peyton always kind of shows up if it's not the playoffs. So
yeah,
I do like him. Yeah.
All right, excellent. Those are the fantasy picks for both of us this week. Finally, we're gonna just kind of pick some of the big games this week. We'll start off with the Thursday night game here. The Redskins at the Giants. Giants are favored by 4 points. What do you like there?
The Giants. I do. I like them a lot this week. Eli's going to get it together. Coughlin has too much pressure on him right now. They don't lose at home.
Yeah, I agree. I think it should be 2-0, like I mentioned. They've played well. Their defense has played better than a lot of people expected. Eli still hasn't thrown a pick yet this year. Odell got a little bit more involved this past week. I think that continues. Short week. I think the Giants win and cover the 4 at home. Falcons at Dallas. Dallas is +2.
Okay. I have the Falcons winning big here. Their offense has just looked too good. Cowboys defense isn't as strong as I expected and just average, but I like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. The combo this week could be deadly. I think they win big. I think they win on the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think Dan Quinn's brought a pretty good mentality to them on the defensive side where they were pretty weak last year. Brandon Whedon stinks. So the quarterback play is going to kill the Cowboys. And they also have not played overly great at home over the past 2 years in Jerry World. So I think as well that the Falcons win and cover the 2. Chargers at Vikings. Vikings -2.5. What do you like?
I was actually surprised this game isn't a pick'em. After that Monday night showing at San Francisco, I don't care how they looked against Detroit last week. I don't see how they can be favored in this game. In that case, I'm going to go with the Chargers getting points on the road.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the Chargers were my preseason pick to win the AFC West. Philip Rivers is a battler. He's a competitor. I think their defense is really good, and I think their offense will be clicking in Minnesota. I agree. I think that they win outright in this game. So both on the Chargers. Eagles at Jets. Jets -2.5.
This is a tough one for me. I'm hearing Cromartie might not be playing, which is a huge blow to that secondary. But also Murray might not be playing. It's up in the air. That one for me, I'm just going to go with the Jets as the home team. But it's a really tough pick for me.
Yeah, I think all the smart money will be on the Jets. I think the Eagles will win this game, though.
Okay.
I think that Chip figures out a way to get Sam comfortable back there, and whatever running backs back there, get them some positive yards instead of running east and west to go north and south. And I think that Fitzpatrick, as well as he's been playing, he has flaws, and I think the Eagles kind of expose a couple of those. I think the Eagles take that one on the road and move to 1-2. Bengals at Ravens. Ravens -3. I'm guessing you like the Bengals with all your Andy Dalton love here early on. So what do you think?
Yeah, you hit it on the head. But Bengals have 3 straight wins versus the Ravens, and I think that's huge in the NFL. I mean, it's hard to get streaks, don't get me wrong, but when you own a team 3 times in a row, especially in that division, I think they have their number. I think they know something that Harbaugh doesn't know. So I got the Bengals.
Yeah, I got the Ravens. I think that teams like those, like the Ravens and the Seahawks and the Colts, when they're 0-2, they just figured out a way.
Yep.
So I think that they avoid, after the really bad loss in Oakland last week that they figured out a way to beat Cincinnati and get to 1-2 at home.
Joe Flacco elite though? I guess that's the real question.
I was not a Flacco guy, and I'm actually coming around to him because his weapons are absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
I know the elite question is like a funny, is he elite? He's not technically elite, I don't think, but I think he's a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Oof.
Okay, anyways.
That's for a different day.
Yeah, so Chiefs at Packers, the Monday night game, -7 to the Pack. What do you think?
I've always, growing up, the Packers, the one team they don't play well against is always the Chiefs. I remember Favre losing. Rodgers lost that one year there 15-0 or 13-0 or whatever. They lost on the road there. I do think the Packers went at home because they're just that Lambeau factor is coming back. And Rodgers is unbeatable at home. But I do think the Chiefs cover here. I think they do.
Yeah, the Packers are going to win by like 21 points. Rodgers at home, as he's proven, is virtually unbeatable. Lacey not playing, if he doesn't play, I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue as some think because the Chiefs' run defense is really good. So I think that Rodgers will be throwing a lot regardless. So I think they win by 10-14. I think it could be competitive for a majority of the game, but I think they'll pull away late. Last game, Denver at Detroit. Detroit plus 3.5. That's a Sunday night game. Who do you like?
I like Denver. You think you hit it on the head earlier. Again, Peyton plays well. He needs to. Detroit, I just don't think is that good. I really don't think they're a good team this year. I got Denver.
Yeah, I agree. I think I have Denver too. Something's just wrong with Detroit. Their offense hasn't. Yeah, their offense hasn't been clicking. Their defense, I think, played way over their head last year. And I think that their flaws in the secondary and the linebacking corps are starting to really pop their head out. And so I think, like you said, Denver covers the 3.5. So do any of these games, kind of have a lock of the week type pick?
Any of these ones?
Or any game? Any
game this week?
Yeah.
Well, my lock of the week would have to be New England.
What are they? Good. Do they have you're saying just to win, period?
Oh, just to win, period? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But as far as the spread, none of these. I would say if any on the ones we just covered, I would say the Giants. They would be my lock out of this group. But
okay,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Patriots. I think right now they're favored by 13 or 14. I think they cover that. Out of these games, I think Atlanta at Dallas is a lock.
Mm-hmm.
The
one thing with the Patriots is they always. Belichick's he's kind of like step on their throat when they're down kind of guy, and 14 points. That's nothing. Even if it is 14, that's nothing to Belichick because you saw him throwing last week up by 23.
Yeah.
So he's just the guy that's going to just kind of kick them when they're down. So I think they'll cover 14 as well.
Yeah. So I agree with that. Well, that is all for this week. Hopefully you all enjoy this, and we'll try to work out some of the bugs that we may have encountered throughout the way. Good luck to everybody with their fantasy games and their favorite teams this week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.